Yeah, I feel like if you don't get those things into check, you could have a perfect diet and a pretty solid workout routine, and you're just going to continue to kind of like self sabotage and not see results. And it's really trying to get your mind in alignment with all of that too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Absolutely. And also, like, I'm so glad you talked about the mind, and it's almost like you have to get yourself to see yourself almost in a different light,
Mm,
right? So a lot of people identify with the fact that they are fat, or the fact that they are obese, or they have this. They identify with what their weakness is.
mm-hmm.
This is going to be me, you know. So we actually need to change your mind as we change your body, because as you know, lo- actually not a lot of people know this, but losing weight is actually easy, and everyone's done it, right? We all know people who, everybody who's lost 20, 25 pounds off their body. And what happens usually? They just put it back on,
Mm-hmm.
and it all just comes back on,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we need to find a way to actually manage your mind, and also to have you see yourself and identify yourself with the things that you're doing. So instead of like being like, oh man, I gotta go work out. Oh, I have to eat healthy, and I'm torturing myself. It's torture, such entitled thinking. I know, but when we actually start identifying with being a healthy person and start molding thermostat in our brains to feel comfortable when we actually drop this weight, then we can get away from self sabotage, and we can see when self sabotage happens,
Mm-hmm.
right when it's happening, as opposed to what happens usually when it happens unconsciously. You have a little bite here, a little bite there. Next thing you know, 25 pounds later, you're back to where you were before. So we have to change the mind as much as we change the body.
It's really interesting, I guess, the comfort of identifying as things that aren't in our best interest, right? Like, so identifying with, like I'm always late, or I'm a failure, or I'm always going to be the chubby kid. And like that's so easy to stay there, and I think it's, I guess, partially probably because it's known, so it's like the devil we know,
Mm,
versus shedding that and being like, well, who am I if I'm not these bad habits? For me, so I got pretty sick early on. Like I had really, really bad endometriosis when I was 19, to the point where I had to have like surgery to kind of like clean it out. And then I shortly after got hit with Graves' disease, which is a hyperthyroid autoimmune issue. And it got so bad because it went untreated for a long time because no one knew what was wrong with me because I looked
mm,
healthy. Everyone thought I had an eating disorder. And that's like the problem with being a woman, is like they saw a young college girl that was underweight and they were like, oh, she's just not eating. I'm like, I'm eating like a horse. Like, I promise you, I'm eating like a horse. And it just went so long that I got down to 90 pounds, which is really light for me.
wow.
My muscles atrophied. I couldn't go upstairs or use my legs anymore. So my husband actually had to carry me around. It was really, really intense. And I remember when I started recovering and I was on medication, I went to the gym and I was like, I'm gonna try to just do the leg press, like super light, and I couldn't do it. My legs still
Mm,
weren't to a point where I could do it with no weight. And I broke down. I started crying in the middle of the gym, and I was like, I will never take my health for granted again. The moment that my muscles come back, like I'm never going to look at working out like I have to. I'm going to be like, I'm blessed that my legs
mm.
work. And anytime I get into like a negative loop where I'm like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to go to the gym, I immediately go back to that anchor and I'm like, no, you get to. Your legs work. This is such a blessing, and like don't even for a second look at it like a bad thing, and that's helped me so much, just that
Yes.
reframing.
Yeah, it's looking at the aspect of using our bodies as a privilege,
Right.
not necessarily as a right. Especially like if you get your health taken away from you, that I hope should be enough to push you to actually never let that happen again to you,
Mhm.
right? And and the thing is, like, we take these things for granted. Um, Even the most simple things, man. Just like if you've ever sprained your ankle, what's the thing that you're hoping for? You're like, I just hope I walk properly again. And when you walk properly again, you're like, oh, stupid ankle. It's just like walking's normal to me. When the reality is that these things are not necessarily a like you have to do this and you must do this. It's literally like, yo, dude, I am living such a great life that I get to actually carve out time to go to the gym.
Mhm.
I'm able to use my body in the gym. I'm able to be like to actually increase my strength. I'm able to actually improve inside the gym. And when we start looking at these things as almost like I like it I like it to call it as like looking at it as like your sanctuaries and looking at it as like your places of healing and places of improvement,
Mhm.
then I feel like maybe more people would actually start gravitating towards it when they kind of get away from the work aspect of things and get into the aspect of like, hey, guess what, like I'm blessed to actually be in this world in the first place. I'm blessed to be using this body. I'm blessed to have an arm and a leg and hands and everything that I have right now,
Mhm.
and I will not take this for granted,
Mhm.
and I will use this whole body and my brain to the best of my ability,
Mhm.
right? That's the I mean, fuck, man, that to me is the pinnacle of mindset. And I'm so glad you're able to just like have that moment. It's almost like that rock bottom moment,
Oh, yeah.
you know? Yeah, it's just like never again. And far be it for me to say, I feel like a lot of people have to hit that rock bottom.
Mhm.
You know, it's almost like they have to learn the hard way. And if you don't, and if you're listening to this and you don't have to learn the hard way, please do something about it, right? Please, please.
Right.